I'm going to be talking about Orobas, and I feel as if I'm talking about him because he wants me to get his name out there more. He's rather obscure. So, first time I evoked this spirit, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just starting out on my magical path. I have been into the occult my whole life, essentially. It's just going the Goetic route. I was so new, and I was doing the whole demonology thing. Not a good idea, but I was doing that whole thing where, like, you know, oh, don't bind the spirits. That's mean. Really idiotic, but yeah. So December 22nd, 2018 was the first time I've ever evoked a spirit, let alone one known as a demon. But that was the first time I've really done any sort of level of magic. I've done other things with Loki and everything, but moving on, I'm getting a little rambly. So what I did was 3 days before the ritual, I cut all my vices. So like there's no caffeine, um, no alcohol, just was clean, and uh, that sucked because I'm a caffeine fiend, and I was pretty much in a weakened state. I'll talk more about weakened states during evocations later on in further videos. So I was tired a lot because I'm very addicted to caffeine. So I was tired a lot and everything. And I remember having dreams of evoking him for a week up until the actual evocation was going to take place. But December 22nd, 2018 was a full moon on a Saturday, and it just turned Capricorn. And Poke Runyon says that's his height of power and everything. Conditions were perfect, right? So I did what every foolish person does when they have no idea what they're doing. I used blood for an offering. Horrible idea, but I used blood, and I offered also cedar incense. If you were smart, you would just offer the incense. Don't use your bodily fluids or anything. So, anyways, I went ahead and did the evocation, and I felt an undeniable presence that was over by my couch, just sitting there, standing, watching me. Because I did the evocation at my desk, and I was facing a wall. It's so silly. But I was facing a wall, so he's not going to go into the wall, or he had to go somewhere, I guess. Um, so, yeah, uh, nothing too weird happened, nothing too dramatic. It was just me in my room in the dark with my robes on, low key afraid of what the hell I'm doing. So I had a certain amount of you don't know what you're gonna expect when you first evoke a spirit. So I didn't know if it was gonna be dramatic or didn't know if nothing was gonna happen. More or less, nothing happened. Whatever. So I chalked it up as just an experience, and it got me my first real taste of doing evocations and working with the Goetic spirit. So I was like, well, whatever, nothing happened, no big deal. A week goes by, and I think it was somewhere within the span of the week of the evocation, I had this wild, absolutely insane astral experience that I'm only going to talk about because this is relevant to my path of why I even stayed on this journey to begin with. So I will tell you what happened, and believe me if you want, or disregard this information. I don't care. So, like, anyways, I had this wild experience where I just remember walking up these wooden steps, and they just kept on going up and then winding around, and literally shoulder to shoulder all around me were so many people. I don't know who these people were. They're just like packed, and we're all walking up these steps, right? And it was kind of similar to like an amusement park, where some attractions have the steps going up to places and everything. Very similar to that. And then, anyways, we eventually get to this clearing, this massive, wide open clearing, and there's like rafters and everything. It was almost like a Coliseum esque type thing. So, anyways, adjusting my camera, sorry. Anyways, I was the only one in this like Coliseum thing because everyone else was just all around me, just watching me and staring and murmuring. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? This is really weird. So, out of this doorway, this, and I will give you the description of what it looks like because you can find this on, I think it's called like Hermetic Magic or Tar Daniel Hermetic Magic. They have the descriptions of them. I'm not giving away too much information. I don't care. Um, I read the description of what he looked like, so he chose that form. That's the only reason why I chose this form, to convey to me who he was. Anyways, out of this doorway, this man about my height, I'm 5'11", so this man about my height walked out, and he was like just plain looking. There's nothing remarkable about him. Just a really plain looking dude. He had like ringlets, like curly ringlets that were blonde. His eyes were blonde, and then there's an undeniable sense of like power and emanation from him. But other than that, it's just unremarkable. So first thing this dude does is he walks up to me and then blows his breath right in my face, like, and just like the absolute most putrid smell ever, like death itself, just washed over me in my face. And I'm like, that's gross. So that's a cool meeting I had with someone who I don't know, just did that. And then this dude had the audacity to be like, what do you think of that? And I'm like, what do you mean what I think of that? He's like, yeah, what do you think of that? And I'm like, I'm confused. And then he's like, well, sit down with me. And I was like, okay. He's like, we need to talk. I'm like, all right. Don't know who this guy was, right? Anyways, so we sit down cross-legged, and then he's across from me, right? And he sits so close to me that he's pressing his knees and legs up against mine super hard, like trying to get a hold of me and kind of be like dominating, right? Didn't like the situation at all, and everyone's still around me and looking around me and stuff, right? And then we were just like talking for a while, and he was like, what do you know of magic? I'm like, oh. Told him I know of magic. He's like, okay. What do you know about demons? I'm like, told him I know about demons. Like, all right. And then we're just still talking and everything, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, in this actual experience, I was wearing my leather jacket. Kind of worth mentioning. So, anyways, we're having a discussion with him basically like in my face, right? And then all of a sudden, his form shifted, and it was horrifying to behold. His form shifted to this being where he suddenly had long black hair. He had like sharp, like vampire, like shark teeth. Eyes were all black. And he suddenly had like talons. And he grabbed me by my leather jacket, had his face in mine, and he was now suddenly like incredibly tall. He was like towering over me, but still in my face somehow. And he was just like screaming in my face, like howling. It was really insane. But the thing is, he wasn't hurting me. He was just intimidating me. And I just started laughing. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, are you gonna try to like fuck me or something? Like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, you're making yourself look like an idiot. I was like, you're nothing to me. Whatever you're doing, you're not scaring me. You're filth. You're beneath me. I'm way more powerful than you are. I'm like belittling him and berating him. And then all of a sudden he just like stares at me. Lets go of me. Form changes back to the blonde, unusual sort of looking dude, right? And then he stands up, he extends his hand out to mine, lifts me up, shakes my hand. He's like, we're going to meet again. And he just walks out. Walks out back into that doorway. And during this time, like when I was berating him, everyone's like laughing and stuff. I humiliated him. So he walks out of the doorway and I wake up. And I was like, that was weird. What was that about? Well, that was Orobas because demons and spirits, all spirits, they typically will uh, come to you shortly after the evocation to meet you in your dreams, give you an astral experience. It's the easiest form for them to convey who they are because they're ethereal. They're, this realm of density isn't their home. So yeah, so that was Orobas, and after that, he started mentoring me. He took me on as, I guess, his protege or something. I'm unsure of the terminology, but he started mentoring me. So, um, pretty much every now and then, when I went to sleep, I'd have a very interesting experience with Orobas. He took the form of that like just unremarkable looking man, and he would just kind of tell me things and give me tips and tricks. He actually introduced me to King Bale, and that was weird. Horrifying, actually. That was horrifying, but cool. Um, yeah, so he's a very interesting spirit to work with. He seems kind of selective on who he picks to lead down paths of magic and otherwise because I had no idea what I was doing. If I started like weeping or like crapping myself when he gave his experience like in my face, right? He would have been like, "You're not meant for this," and then probably would have been like excommunicated from the whole spirit realms or something. So, the fact that I stood my ground and then told him that I'm essentially way more powerful than him, he respected the hell out of me for doing that. And yeah, uh, I have a lot of experiences with Orobas. He is absolutely phenomenal, but if you're a beginner, please be careful. Don't use your blood. That was intense. So, maybe a little too intense for me, but I still stood my ground and everything. But yeah, if I didn't use my blood, I wouldn't have had that experience. I wouldn't have been mentored by him, so I don't regret it. But um, I will tell, I will leave it off with this one last thing that I did. Um, I created the seal of Orobas on a piece of cardboard and did like an invocation to him and then like used my blood on that seal and everything, right? Like 5 drops of blood because I had his name around the seal. So 5 drops of blood all on his name. Yeah. So I live by the woods and Saturday, dead at night. I don't like the woods at night, but Saturday, dead at night, I went out into the woods in January. It was in January now. Only a month after my whole initiation. So, went out in the woods, had an apple as an offering. I found a spot that I was shown mentally of where to put it. It was behind a log off this path. And then when I like was walking around at night, I'm like, where's this log? And I found it, exactly what it looked like, and placed the seal behind a log. had an apple on it. It was like, "Hail Orobas, until the time being, these woods are yours to roam." So I kind of haunted my woods. On the way back, I heard stomping in the woods. I heard a bunch of crunching of the leaves and everything coming from the direction of where I put that seal. And I was like, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna get back to my house right now. So I started walking really, really quick, and whatever it was kept on following me. And then eventually, after maybe 10 to 20 minutes, sorry, not minutes, 10 to 20 seconds, after 10 to 20 seconds of like me walking faster, I looked to the left with my flashlight on my phone. I looked to the left, face to face with a deer, and I'm like, okay, that's not weird, right? It's just a deer. It hissed at me. I was like, what are you? It straight up hissed at me, and I had no idea deers can hiss. And I was like, I'm gonna get that out of here. Whatever this is crazy. And I booked it. So I left that area because I had no idea deer can hiss, and apparently they can. And just the fact that it just like appeared out of nowhere after I put the seal down, and I had that experience, tripped me out. So I did that again the next week on a Saturday. Same procedure, apple, everything. Except for this time, the deer was only heard. I only heard the deer stomping around and everything as soon as I put the apple down. And I live by a church, ironically enough. So it followed me up until the church parking lot, and it wouldn't go any further. The stomping stopped when I got near the church. And those are just some of my experiences with Orobas. So yeah, if you are looking for a very good spirit teacher, he may be able to help you. He's a little stern. He sees a lot in you and pushes you to do things like, I don't know, put an apple on a seal in the middle of the freaking night at the woods. So if you're not up for doing things like that, probably don't work with him. But I learned a lot. I've learned a lot. It's been about 2 years now, getting to 2 years since I've actually been doing all this stuff. So yeah, that's just a few experiences with Orobas. I literally can make 10 more videos about him. I'm not going to, but I hope that helps you understand what can happen after an evocation if you feel as if it hasn't been successful. If you feel as if you haven't made contact or nothing happened. Just because you can't see the demon or really perceive it doesn't mean it's not there. Especially if you use your blood, it's insane. So they do pop in afterwards, shortly after the evocations. So yeah, if I feel like making more videos, I'll make more videos. But until next time, I'll see you around.